What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Movies That Make You podcast, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're a catalyst for meaningful conversation. I'm Jonathan Sprang, and I go by Sprang, and most weeks we dive into movies to watch in preparation for a new release hitting theaters. But we don't stop there. We talk about the morals, the values, and the life lessons these movies have to offer. This week, we've got a very special episode with the creators of ZombieCON Volume 1. Erin and Kyle joined us. Papa Gosh joined me to help host with the interview, and it just turned out to be an amazing time. These folks are awesome, and so I really hope that you go support them, support this movie, and watch our interview with them because it was just a blast. We hope you'll go check out our website. It's bio.site/movies that make you. There you'll find all of our links to all of our social media channels on YouTube, Instagram, and elsewhere. You can also find our podcast links to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also check out our letterbox, which shows you all of our lists on the movies that make you laugh, the movies that make you cry, the movies that make you scream, and everything in between. Before we dive into this week's episode, though, let's take a look at the next 4 weeks on the Movies That Make You podcast. Next week, we've got an epic show for you of epic proportions. We had our live stream just a few weeks ago. That was to celebrate our 100th episode. This episode is going to celebrate our 2-year anniversary, and we've got a bunch of guests. We've got Kristen on the show. We've got your favorite Papa Goss. We've got our returning favorite Papalicious Popheads, and we've got a new friend to the podcast, Horror Cat Dad. We're going to be talking about Predator. We are talking about all the Predator movies that have led up to this. Predator Badlands dropping that Friday, so we are super stoked to have Horror Cat Dad for the first time and to have all of our returning guests. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be crazy. The week after that, we're going to be discussing Now You See Me 1 and 2 in preparation for Now You See Me, Now You Don't, hitting theaters that Friday. The entire cast is back, plus more, so it looks to be a lot of fun, magic, mayhem. Join us. The week after that, we've got a very special episode. Monday, November 17th is the actual anniversary of Charlie Brown adopting Snoopy. So we're going to be doing the Peanuts movies, the short ones, plus the feature film. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. The boys requested to do this episode, and I was like, this is going to be so great. The timing's perfect. 75 years ago on this date, Charlie Brown adopted Snoopy. The week after that, we're going to be talking Zootopia and giving our top 5 animated animals in that episode, all to gear up for Zootopia 2 hitting theaters. Hope those episodes excite you. So without further ado, let's get to the podcast. Guys, I'm super excited for today because we got some special guests. We've got our one of our favorite guests here, Papa Goss, but we got some special guests here, the creators of ZombieCON Volume 1, plus other things. Welcome, Erin and Kyle. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yes, thank you. Really appreciate it. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Papa Goss got a little screener and did a review. I saw that review, and then I checked my Instagram messages, and I was like, "Oh, I've got a message from them too. Let me see if I can get connected and get them on the podcast." So, welcome to the podcast. This is the Movies That Make You podcast. We were just talking a little bit about our kids. Most of the time, it's with my boys, and we talk movies. We talk about the movies we're watching. When it comes to horror, though, we stick to the PG-13 for them at this point. But we have some fun with Papa Goss on the horror. So I invited him to be a part of this conversation because we've done a bunch of horror podcasts together. So first question I've got for you guys is what inspired you, like when it comes to the horror genre? What was like the first movie that made you say either that you got scared or said, "Oh, this is awesome. I love this. I want more"?
See, I would have to now. Mine is kind of like, I don't know if it's it's horror adjacent, but I've got a specific horror. But I'd have to go like off the bat, Aliens, which I know it's kind of falls more into the action genre, but definitely has those horror elements held over from the original Alien. If I'm going straight horror, I'd go with I keep falling between It, like the original It, and Halloween. So
Nice. Very good.
I gotta go with What Lies Beneath, only because it's one of those like core memories as a kid. Like totally was not allowed to watch anything of that caliber, and I was at a friend's house. Naturally, the older siblings were watching it, so of course we were peeking around the corner and watched my friend and I the entire thing. And that scene, especially with Michelle Pfeiffer coming out of the tub, like I was scared to take a bath for weeks. So that is ingrained in my psyche as like just the most terrifying horror film ever. But I think The Shining as well, like really got me. I thought it was just so creepy and it seemed like too real. Almost like Kubrick had come upon and made like a documentary or something.
And that hits so much closer to home after being stuck in post-production for 10 years. It definitely.
We've
I'm
lived
sure.
it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I love all of those films that you guys mentioned. Every single one of them is on my list somewhere. I know I like, did a little research. I know you guys recently got married. You have a child, so that's congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, huge congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
how
Yeah,
did you guys meet and start collaborating?
we neither of us are from Los Angeles, but we met in LA and we were actually at a commercial acting workshop. So don't ignore the acting workshops. You actually we'll talk a little bit later, hopefully, but that's where we've met a lot of our good friends who ended up in this movie too. But yeah, we were out in LA, met there, and I guess like a year later when we were dating, got started with starting our own production company and starting down this crazy path, but it all started at a commercial workshop in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So
That's
an
awesome.
interesting story. She was dating someone else at the time, so I had to, play the long game.
Right. I
Hey man,
understand that.
you got to the end result, so that's all that matters. I've been there and done that for sure.
So you guys met kind of in the industry, basically. Like you both were on the same path. What inspired each of you to like pursue LA and pursue acting, directing, producing, all the things that you guys are doing now?
Go first.
Yeah, I started as a kid. I kind of fell into it really luckily in that way. So I always loved acting, theater acting, that kind of thing. But I followed my sister to an acting camp, saw that you could audition for an agent, was super jealous that I didn't have the opportunity to do this, came back the next week, ended up auditioning, got an agent, and I was booking roles all the way through college. And it was sort of always the plan. Like I wanted to move out to LA immediately following graduating at Vanderbilt. Went out there and pretty much within a year, I was like, I'm burned out from auditions. I'm so tired of not having my own control over my career. And slowly, that's when the two of us started our own production company. And I was stepping more into producer roles and having a little bit more say in the acting roles that I was doing. But I've been at this a long time, lucky to kind of fall into it.
Yeah, and I'm completely opposite. So I always dreamed of, I grew up in northern New Jersey, in the early 90s. So no Hollywood stuff happening ever anywhere close by. It was just behind the scenes features and, pie in the sky type. Oh, I can maybe do that. And I was just, I guess, too realistic. So I can remember I was like super young sitting on the steps and I was like, I would love to be a director. And I was like, oh, that'll never happen. I don't know anyone out in Hollywood. Fast forward to the end of college, I'm about to enter, I guess, the general workforce, with an advertising degree. And I'm like, well, it's now or never. I can either take one shot at like trying to let this pan out and like take 6 months in LA and maybe something will happen. And it was one of those things where if I didn't give it a shot, I would have never forgiven myself. At least if I tried and failed, at least I could always live with that and be like, at least I gave it, the good, I guess, college try for pun not intended in this specific example. So yeah, I went out there, started as an actor because I had no idea what I was doing. YouTube unfortunately wasn't really a resource back then. It was just kind of getting started. And through kind of falling through the auditioning process, I had terrible anxiety with that. I was like, well, maybe if I learn how to do the directing side of things and the production side of things, I can be more comfortable in these auditions. And that led me to doing some short films and collaborating, obviously, with Erin. And one thing snowballed into another. And then I kind of was like, oh, wait, I love telling people what to do. This directing thing might be for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So who would you say is your favorite director when you think about that?
Most dangerous question to ask him. How long is this episode?
Yeah.
We're as long as you guys want, for real. But
I'm a huge cinephile, so my list is like forever long. But at the top of that list is James Cameron, without a doubt. Like I know his filmography is not very, long, but the way he's kind of attacked every single position, and I've watched all the behind the, like Under Pressure from The Abyss and, Superior Firepower from Aliens, like more times than probably any movies that I've watched. And he was like a huge inspiration for me and love his stuff. So I definitely put him on top of the list. After that, there's a litany of directors from like, Kubrick to Spielberg to Tarantino, And it's usually the older guys. The newer guys, probably a Nolan or something like that would fall into there. And then in terms of the contemporary directors, I'm still kind of waiting to see more of the films to really pinpoint who I'm like in love with. Cause, I'm used to seeing 7 films before I pick a favorite director. So I'm just kind of letting that pan out.
Very cool. Very cool. So do either of you have like anything that you do on set that like do you ever prank each other? I know since you're married, do you ever like have these little hidden secrets, like that you do to just get on the other person's nerves?
Oh man,
I don't
that's a
think
good
that I don't
question.
think that we do that just because we were such a low budgeted film that there, like, for us, because we were both producers too, there wasn't a lot of time for pranks. But some of the other actors had a little more time and were a little bit more liberal with it. I know Erin got pranked.
Yeah, I got pranked so hard. So the park scene in ZombieCon Vol 1, if any of your listeners are familiar, we actually were filming while we were out there some Super Mario adjacent type cosplays. Adjacent being important because we were not, for copyright reasons, being Mario Party. But anyway, so I'm in charge basically of the costumes, and so everyone's changing. And Manny, who plays Rocket, Christian, who plays Javier, were coming to me saying, Erin, as Mario and Luigi adjacent, where's our mustaches? They're not in the bag. And I'm like, well, they're not in the bag. I put them in the bag. No, they're not in the bag. Did you double check? We checked them everything. Can you go check? I checked the bag. I am freaking out because we're super far away. There's no way to go back. I'm thinking maybe I can get our makeup artist Joe to like draw them on, and you know what? It'll look okay. And then they just whip them out of their pockets like they were the
That's
only ones
amazing.
laughing. I was not
But I
laughing.
can tell you, when
Yeah.
you're in that kind of high pressure, it seems like kind of like, not that big of a deal now. But in the moment, that was a huge deal. And funnily enough, I ended up creating the worst faux pas on that scene because we were like an hour and a half away from our house. And I left one of our 2 batteries for the camera in the charging block at the house. So we had a half drained, low size battery for the Canon C300. And I was like, oh my God. Like, usually we let the camera roll liberally because we're shooting digital, obviously. And this time I'm like, every single time it's like, action, start the camera. Okay, now action. And then,
Yeah.
as soon as it's cut.
Oh, he didn't tell us either. So none of us had any
Yeah.
idea. Like usually he's, pretty straight, especially with me as a producer. Like he was like keeping that one close to the chest. We're going to grin and bear it. We're going to get through this night. We're going to pray. It'll be fine.
Well, and during the shooting of that, the guy who was Phil Cruz, who was pulling focus, he was kind of like our first AD, but we're all wearing so many hats. He could, in that intention, he was a focus puller. We were recording out to like an Atmos, shown in Atmos, I believe, so we can get 4K raw. And so he was in charge of pressing the record button on that because the record button is not actually on the physical camera that I was operating. And we go through, again, remember, low battery, high stakes. And I wanted to get the whole thing in one shot. So I'm like, let's run through this whole thing from it's probably half a mile of running for the entire scene. We do the entire sequence. I'm like, guys, I think we actually got that in one shot. Like, this actually worked. And he just walked up to me and he's like, yeah, Kyle, I never hit record.
Oh no.
So, and obviously you can't tell the actors that after you just made them run like, half a mile and like all their costumes, and everyone's like out of breath already from doing this all night. So I'm like, oh, you know what? We're going to do one more for safety, guys. One more for safety.
One more, yeah.
Let's reset.
That's another one I didn't hear about till I think we were even through production. He's like, oh yeah, by the way.
Yeah. That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, that scene made me tired just watching it. I was like, I'm out of breath, but I'm also out of shape, so it's fine.
It was the toughest probably for Christian, who plays Javier.
Yeah.
He started the scene wearing the helmet and carrying the bag, but the helmet is like straight up painted. Like he cannot see.
He can't breathe
As
or
he's
see.
running, can't breathe. He can't see anything. He's lugging the bag. And then, of course, Punky in the role is, come on, Javi. Get the bag. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I we're gonna get to the movie later, but I do know that like that one scene where you guys are like you're in the parking garage and you're about to run. I mean, he literally it's I gotta get the bag, before you take off, and it's like so great, so great.
Oh, yeah. And that bag weighed
Oh my
probably
God.
legit 50 pounds because, we had a few stunt swords, foam swords and stuff for certain, scenes where you obviously can't use a real sword. You don't want like someone's head to actually get taken off. But we didn't have like a full complement. So a lot of that stuff, that was all like, dulled swords or prop swords, all made out of metal. So it legit weighed about 50 pounds. And I'm thinking, dude, you're in the gym all the time. You're a buff dude. You got this, man. It's not going to be a problem. I think he wanted to run me through with one of the swords at the end of it.
He was the
Yeah.
most in shape Rocket's Rocket, and he got put through his paces.
Yeah. That's what you get when you lift, bro. You just,
Yeah,
you just,
right?
That's
Right?
right.
That's amazing.
Extra reps, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just wanted to ask real quick, since revolves around a convention, I'm a huge convention person. Like most of the stuff on my channel, I go to like horror conventions here in Oklahoma, or I actually was out by you guys in LA last year for LA Comic-Con to meet the Back to the Future people. So I love going to conventions and stuff. Do you both collect memorabilia or props or go to conventions? Is that where like the idea came from?
Yeah, so we're in my father's house right now. We're visiting them down in Florida.
Okay.
And like, I think there's a Terminator head like poking up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I do
there.
see it now.
And like,
I do see it.
I tried to set some stuff up behind the camera, but a lot of the stuff is on the walls around us. And he got me into movies and is the reason why Aliens is my favorite movie. Like, that was the first rated R movie I could watch. Like, I was allowed to watch it when I was 12. And he's like, this is one you've got to see. And I've been in love with it since then. But he's always been a collector. And I was really lucky that he was into like conventions back again in the early 90s where, now they're much more prevalent. You could find them in every state.
Yeah.
They're really fantastic. It's a much bigger and wider community. Back then, if you weren't living in California, you couldn't get to San Diego. And even San Diego Comic-Con back then was nowhere close to what it is today. But I did get to go to a couple horror conventions in the New York, New Jersey area. And then one of like my favorite memories was we went on a family trip to Las Vegas, and this wasn't planned, but we found out that there was a Star Trek convention rather, like in the Hilton Marriott or something, where they used to have like the Star Wars or Star Trek walkthrough in Quark's Bar and stuff. I don't know if you guys ever checked that out, but it was epic. And we got to go to that. And that was like my first like full blown giant convention in a huge space with all the vendor tables. And I kind of fell in love with it after that. And there was a huge gap of time where I couldn't attend a lot of conventions just because I went to school in South Carolina, wasn't a big thing down there. Got to LA, I'm using every dollar to like kind of do a short film. And every time you're trying to like, well, do I do something for fun? You're justifying, well, that money can go to a new lens, or that money could go to a new piece of camera gear or a light. So it's really hard to try to balance that and quote unquote be responsible. Like, no, I need this camera lens. This is very important. But after the film was done, I then all of a sudden had a reason to be like, well, we've got a film. We can promote the film. This is a reason to go to all these conventions. So we did go. We showed actually the film like in a unfinished version at LA Comic-Con, which was absolutely awesome.
Wow.
We got to show it at Anime Expo. We went down to San Diego Comic-Con, I think once or twice. And like one year we only had like a ticket for one day, but we like just meandered around the Gaslamp district. And then like 2 years later, we got to go back for the full experience. And it was just like, it was everything I ever dreamed it would be, and like 100 times more. It was absolutely awesome.
And we did a bunch of the smaller local cons in Los Angeles too. So it was a great mix of the two. But going back to collecting as well, yeah, not only his family, they raised a collector as well.
Oh yeah.
I thought it's awesome. It's great until you move. And we moved from across the country. I'm like, marry a collector, they said. It'd be fun, they said. We're packing up boxes and boxes of just like toys that take up each one, the styrofoam, to make sure every little piece is
They're
okay.
not called toy. They're figures.
They're figures.
Yeah. Come on, Erin.
That's amazing.
Sorry, my bad.
That's funny. No, it does add up. Like even now, like I've been collecting. My first thing I ever collected was physical media when I worked at a video store back in the day. But now I collect, figures, autograph posters, Funko Pops, the whole 9 yards. So like it adds up if you don't stick to just one thing.
One category.
Yeah.
And they're always, and like I was at the beginning of Funko Pop when they first started coming out, and
Yeah.
like the paint jobs on the Funko Pops, they match so perfectly with like the original action figures, and that's like what really blew my mind, especially when the Hercules line came out. I was like, oh, I got to get all these, and I just kept collecting them until we got to a point where we had so many. I was like,
Yeah.
they're never going to stop making these things, and I just want more and more and more.
The
and more.
complete. Yes.
I recently I stopped. I haven't really been buying any new Funko just because like I'll either go back and get ones that I've been trying to get for a long time that are rare, or I just because I have too many, and I just came to a realization, especially this last 2 years, Funko's just like it's like weekly now. There's like a new line, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get, but I'm like in my mind, I cannot physically and mentally do that because my wallet will be broken. So and I don't have room for it either. So.
No, I totally, I'm in the exact same boat.
You have to give up on the Funkos.
I did give
I
up.
know.
The Nendroids.
I moved to Nendroids because I was like, they're so much more expensive. I'm like, okay, well, I can't buy as many, and they're smaller. And then that became a problem. So I've just had to, since moving, I haven't been allowed to buy anything. But we've got, obviously.
I'm going to go check on our daughter. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no,
okay.
go for
You're
it.
fine.
Go for it.
Speaking of which, that's why I can't collect anything like at this exact time. I'm busy buying baby toys and milk pops and a million things that I never thought that I would be investing money in. So
yeah, no, like having a kid changes you for sure. You have the same mentality, but you also like have to tweak it just a little bit, just so you're making the right choice.
While she's away, why don't you tell us a little bit about Journeyman?
Yeah, so it was a web series that was so I think it was a little bit before that. It might have been like 2015 or something like that, but that was one of the first web series we did. We were trying to create a competitor to YouTube back in like the early days, and we only had like a total investment of like $10,000, which obviously did not go very far, but we created 9 web series for it, Journeyman being like my pet project in there. I'm a huge sci-fi guy, obviously, and that was like all about, I guess, a hero's journey, and he had collected a bunch of friends. It was part of like a secret organization and military co-ops, a lot of like basically YouTube conspiracy theories, like all thrown into one type of web series type deal. But that was a blast to shoot. We were able to go out to a dry lake bed for like the last episode, which I think I've made available online somewhere, but it was only on our website for a while. So I don't even know how many people have seen it, but it's by far like one of the most fun things to have shot, while also being one of the most physically demanding things that we ever did. Because we actually had an even smaller crew than on ZombieCon. It was literally me, one other guy doing all the production work, and then the actors. So it was crazy.
What did you learn like through that? I'm sure you learned a lot, but what's like some of the key things you learned while making that prepared you for stepping into ZombieCon Volume 1?
So a lot of logistical stuff, right? The camera stuff and lighting, I think that's a learning process. You learn new tricks each time you do something, but like eye openers, it was just the logistics of moving that many pieces into a different position and being able to set things up, learning how much time that takes, and learning how deceptively tall the mountains are and being like, yeah, that spot looks great up there. And then like 3 hours later, you're finally at that spot. You're like, yeah, let's not do that again. But it's just logistical challenge stuff, like making sure your storyboards are in line, making sure all the actors have directions to the set because someone got lost and like almost drove off a cliff. And that was a nightmare for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't want them to get hurt, but they were also, giving all of us a hard time. And, don't trust Google Maps. It doesn't always work.
Yeah. I've done a little bit of videoing, since high school. I would make videos with a buddy of mine, and we never really dove into like making films until a couple years ago. I did a short film with my boss at work. We did a short, like a horror film, where he and I were like the final like people to face this big demon or whatever. And That's one of the first, like, I knew that storyboarding would be important because it's like when you only have a certain amount of light, you only have like a certain amount of time with the actors and with the people that are showing up and all that stuff. It's like I got to know, to save time, energy, and frustration, I need to know exactly what I want to see before you step on set, you know. And so I had heard that and learned that, you know, from behind the scenes videos and stuff from all the movies I love, but it was just kind of a fun experience to try and do that for the first time. We're actually doing a sequel this year, but we're doing it all just through my podcast software, because we're just going to do it online, and that way we can have people from all over the country participate. So it's going to be
It's
similar to
awesome.
like Host from 2020, where like a demon kind of takes out different people as they're having a conversation. So should be kind of
That's an
fun.
awesome
But
idea. Sick.
yeah, yeah, not as
I would
big
love
and
to check it out. So, and I'd also love to
oh
check
yeah,
out your first short. So you have to shoot us a link.
sure. I'll shoot it over to you. It was a lot of fun to do. It gets kind of cheesy and stuff towards the end, but it's like trying to set that tone and set that experience up, which I think you guys did incredible for with ZombieCon Volume 1.
Yeah.
If we can kind of step into that a little bit, but what was the initial inspiration for the ZombieCon idea? Because you guys did like a short film, is that right? And then you did the full Volume 1 later.
So the way that it worked out, so it says like a ZombieCon 2018 is up on IMDb. And
Hmm.
that was actually the film. That's like the feature. It's always been a feature film.
Oh, okay.
There was just a snafu with IMDb where we submitted it to a number of film festivals as a working copy, and like a very rough working copy. Like the audio wasn't done, the special effects weren't done, the editing wasn't done, the color correct wasn't done. But we wanted to kind of get a feedback. You know, we didn't have enough money to rent out a theater and, you know, get a test audience or anything like that. So we were thinking of like how to do that on the cheap, which is why we showed it at LA Comic Con and Anime Expo. But in that same vein, we showed it at a couple film festivals, not thinking anything of it, but it won an award at the Orlando International Film Festival and got nominated for a bunch of other stuff. And as soon as it got nominated and then won, it was automatically counted as released on IMDb, which I'm like, I'm
Mm.
still in post production on the film. I it's this is
Yeah.
news to me. It's been released, and
Yeah.
so I must have traded like, I don't know, cumulatively probably 500 emails. Erin would back me up on this. It's like 100% accurate. I sent so many emails that they had to ask me to stop sending emails. I would like read their bylines and be like, yeah,
Yeah.
but your excuse for not being able to change it, you know, conflicts with the subpart of paragraph 42, subsection B in this section. Then they'd come back with something like that. But well, what about paragraph 64, subsection C? They'd be like, you got to just, you know,
Man.
these poor
Yeah,
people over there were like, you know, they're all just, you know, working people. They're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? And when we
exactly.
got hooked up with a sales agent after the film was actually completed and looked, you know, very different from the versions that showed, he suggested that we think about changing the name, which of course, for me as, you know, a director and writer, I'm like, I love the name. I can't change the name ZombieCon. I'm like, it's like, well, think creatively. I'm like, well, it is the first part in a series. He's like, what about volume one? I was like,
Hmm.
I could do volume one. That works. And that actually works. It lets people know that it is part of a series. And it's one of those happy accidents that happens in filmmaking. It's like sometimes you think when your back's up against the wall, everything is going wrong, and you're like, oh, all my dreams are falling apart. And then you just find that creative solution. And sometimes those creative solutions end up being things that benefit the film so greatly that you couldn't have done it if it hadn't been an accident, unless, you know, I guess people who are much better than me would probably be like, oh, you should have called it volume one from the beginning. Something, I don't know.
One of the things I loved about the film, kind of getting into that, is I thought the production value was super solid. I was really impressed with all of the costumes, all of the sets, all of the places that you filmed, the even like walking down the um the back alleyway and the smoke that's billowing out. I was just like, this is insane. This does not feel at all like a low budget film. And I mean, what was it that allowed you to make it so great on the budget that you had?
So Just creativity and great teamwork, right? So all the people that worked on the film, for the most part, we had worked with for like Journeyman. Punky was in Journeyman. She played Kit. Uh, Melissa Rodriguez, who plays Ray, who's one of the Xander Rules girls, she played Plebo in Journeyman, and basically we had connected with everyone. Christian Casillas plays the bad guy in Journeyman. So a lot of familiar faces, and building that teamwork and trust up allowed us to have a shorthand that we'd already developed and get through things a lot faster than I think would have been possible had we not had those previous relationships. Even if you had an immensely talented cast, which I know a lot of people do, you still need to develop those lines of communication. And because we had that, it let us maximize the limited amount of time we had in each of the locations, which then let us also afford, higher profile locations, like for the tunnel scene or the alleyway. We were only in those places for maybe, I think, max 6 hours for like the interior of the tunnel. And then like the alleyway we had for like 4 hours from sundown to just past to get everything from a deleted scene that'll be on the DVD. But, we had to get basically 2 entire takes there with, the characters running in. And then we came back at another night to do the whole rock transition scene. I think the rooftop scene we had for like a total of 3 hours. We were up there. The liquor store we had for another like grand total of 4 hours between the hours of 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. trying to film everything before the sun came up. So just that shorthand allowed us to
Mm-hmm.
do a lot. And then sparingly using like VFX and I guess you call it CGI, not really. So I guess just VFX, but like the smoke billowing out in the alleyway and stuff, that's all me like painstakingly layering smoke layers and custom moving things so that like it looked natural as people were running through it, to kind of, if you run through smoke, it bounces off
Yeah.
your body and kind of shifts off into a direction. And I wasn't super familiar with emulators and stuff, so I didn't have like any fancy software to do that. So it was just, 1,000 layers of using different smoke effects and then masking it out and fading it out and different types of feathering effects on just getting people moving. Manny Luke individually rotoscoped all of the zombie eyes to give it that kind of sheen through the entire film, which took him, years to complete. And with the editor continually re-editing things, he'd be like, "Do we really need this other shot of the zombies?" And be like, "Yeah, no, we do
Yeah.
need that one." It's like, "Gotta do more
Right.
eyes." Like, yeah.
Oh
And
man,
then
that's
just
crazy.
taking all those layers in the color correcting software and shifting opacities and trying to get it to interact with the environment and the changing light. So a lot of hard work, 10 years of post-production, and great teamwork.
That's amazing. I mean, and I did not see that at all. I didn't, a lot of times like, my kids will watch a movie and they're like, "Oh, that's bad CG," I did not, it didn't even cross my mind that that would be, done in post. So wonderful, wonderful work there. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
What's, what's one of the ways that you guys kept kind of the balance of your relationship while on set? Did that ever prove to be difficult, or is it because you were so close to each other, you had that kind of internal shorthand?
Again, really, the internal shorthand was a big part of it. And then also this being such a big opportunity for everyone. Having only done web series and short films prior to this, we never thought we would get a $60,000 budget, which I know is like ludicrously small for a feature film. But for us, that was like the equivalent of having $1 million or, an infinite amount of money, basically. So we were all super
Yeah.
excited to kind of take our first official stab at this kind of filmmaking experience. And that plus the enthusiasm and energy that we all had in our 20s, which I don't know now in like late 30s, I'd be like, I don't know if I could do this like that.
You don't
But
know what you don't know, and sometimes that's a good thing, yeah.
yeah,
For sure. For sure. Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm bringing little Anya here. She is, definitely recognizing that it's her bedtime, and she is
Yes,
not one to be left out, so
totally. No worries. No worries. Since you're back, I do have a question for you. How did you balance like being an actor in the movie and also being the one in charge from the production standpoint?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a lot, and I'm sure Kyle has mentioned too. Everyone was wearing so many hats. It was an insane set and amount of work, but definitely I was just like, when I'm as Claire, when he says action and it's time to go, everything else is silent. Like the voices of about producer Erin, about first or second AD Erin, script supervisor Erin, crafty and wardrobe Erin, all of those are gone. I'm
Yeah.
just Claire in the moment right now. And so that was actually almost more the easy part because all of the other bits, it was like running around with a chicken with its head cut off, trying to manage 6,000 different roles and things going wrong all the time and problems popping up, but it really had a lot to do with just preparation. I mean, I nailed down the character, what I wanted to do with her, how I was going to get there acting wise. Kyle lent us all a book, and we all were, it was an amazing tool. It was Ivana Chubbuck's The Power of the Actor. So we all were studying that, and we had a good lingo with him as the director in that regard, too. But yeah, good preparation. And definitely, most importantly, the second that action is called, like everything else just fades away, and I'm just Claire in the moment.
Yeah. That's amazing. I know for me, like watching the film, I was super impressed with all the acting. Aaron, you, Punky, I mean, was just insanely good. 100% believable throughout the entire film. I felt like all the emotions were visceral and engaging and so much fun.
Thank you so much. That really means the world. I mean, I was amongst some of the best actors. It's like because we were really good friends as well, the line was blurred, because we had shorthand already. While the characters were definitely inspired by ourselves, they also were different enough where you could totally not see them as, you did every single day. And it made for an incredible experience where that chemistry it was undeniable because it was just all of it was brought right there in front of the camera, too.
Yeah, very
And I have to
cool.
say that Rocket or Manny Luke definitely had the most difficult acting challenge because in real life,
Oh, yeah.
Manny is like the antithesis of his character. He is
Yeah.
such a nice guy that it almost makes you do like a double take, and you're like, "Are you hiding? Are you a secret like evil villain? Like this is not. You cannot be this nice of a human being." But yeah, he is just literally salt of the earth, like one of the best human beings I've ever met. I mean, all of our friends are all fantastic, but he was the newest addition
Yeah.
to the crew, and he killed it in the role. And yeah, he played a good asshole. I feel like I helped inspire some of that assholery.
Yes, it is the director's job to get the performance out of the actor. So
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
And that's why I was a jerk for all those years. That's it.
Right, right.
That's the Kubrick in you.
That's
Yeah.
right.
What would you say was the one thing kind of that you knew going into making this film, this is a non-negotiable, I am not giving up on this one thing. Did you have something like that?
I feel like that was kind of my position on most of it. Um, and it was kind of Aaron pulling me back down to earth in a few of the things. But generally, we wrote the script around locations that we had, like the Rockets apartment was our home, mine and Aaron's home. The ending location, Mama Bear's house, is Christian Casillas's family's house. So we knew we could bookend kind of the script with that. In terms of elements that may have gotten lost, nothing that got lost was something that I was like, it has to be there, otherwise we can't do the movie. So we were able to, because we had done all those web series and short films, estimate pretty accurately what was and was not possible. So we didn't have like a lot of those big kind of riff moments where it's like, oh, we're going to lose this giant set piece, or our metaphorical shark never did not work. Like we were,
Yeah.
you know,
I will throw one out though because it showcases his dedication. Before we knew the final budget that we had, he was so adamant about the tunnels, and at one point it was also like we were going to be stuck potentially in a trolley, like train whole bit if it was lower budget. But regardless, he was like, oh no, like we're going to make this happen. I don't care if I need to build a fake tunnel in our home apartment and then we'll shoot it there. He's like, I can do it, practical. I can do it. I was like, I believe you. I just don't want you to do that.
No, we just, you know,
we
you
have
set
enough
up,
we're working on right now.
but I figured, you know, it's a tunnel, right? You just set up 2 walls, you know, create a little bit of an open top ceiling, and then you just make sure there are a lot of corners.
and
So you just
cram
keep
us in
running
there.
down the same
Yeah.
set
The
of
same
tunnels
port,
and just keep making turns.
We'll be like rats in a maze by the end of the production.
Is this circle ever going to end? Where's the straightaway? Where's the straightaway? That's
I think
amazing.
we've been here before.
No, that's what we would have had the green screen drop in behind it. But okay, everyone, run enthusiastically in place.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. We need to do the ZombieCon like spoof, you know, the side film.
Yeah.
What could have been, you know, like the behind the scenes. This is what he had in his head. Let's see how that goes.
There was one other thing that we were going to do, but it got lost. I had an idea of chasing the actors and doing like a zombie vision, but from a drone's POV. And so I was learning how to operate a drone. Again, this is like back when drones were first kind of hitting the market. And, you know, now you've so many options with drones, little tiny ones. So this was like kind of a bigger drone. And it wasn't very good. It was like the cheapest drone out there. It wasn't even a DJI drone. It was like some off-brand drone. And I was practicing it with it. And we had to find a place 3 miles away from any airport in Los Angeles, which is exceedingly difficult
And
because
Kyle's
they're
a stickler for the rules. So we were not going to go one under 3 miles, right?
right. So I found one spot that was like the size of a football field that was like somewhere up in the Hollywood Hills.
It was like right off Mulholland Drive.
We had to find this road, and I'm pretty sure it was a construction road. They were building, I don't know, some $50 million house or something crazy like down this road, but no one blocked it. So we drove down it. And I'm now flying this drone. And I'm like, oh, this is going to work out great. Like, I totally understand what we're doing with this and, you know, X, Y, Z. And then I look down and I just see like all the mansions on the Hollywood Hills. And I'm like, oh, and I start being like, what if I fly it into, how expensive is it going to be if I crash this thing in someone's like out their backyard? And that's kind of like unnerved me a little bit. So I tried to call the drone back, but I couldn't get the automatic landing to work. So I pulled it close to us, get it within like a foot of the ground. I'm like, okay, good. And so I go to like shut it off and land it. And now it geosynchronizes so that it wants to shoot back up to where it started to then land. But there was a tree right above it. So shoots up into the tree. It
going over the fence into someone's backyard.
And it's chewing up this tree and like things are going crazy. So I reached up and grabbed it. I almost lost a finger, you know, pulling this thing out of the tree and throwing it on the ground. I'm like, that's it. We're not doing the drone.
Scrapping the
and end of the drone.
That's amazing. That's crazy. Well, that's awesome, man. I know we're coming kind of close to the time. Do you guys have a few minutes more, or do you have a hard kind of?
Absolutely.
She's asleep, so we're set.
Yeah, this is our only time factor here. But she's when she's with mom, she runs on infinite batteries. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I don't know if you have a top 5 or not. You already talked about Aliens. You talked about The Shining. Are there any other standouts from the last, maybe this year, of horror films that really stand out to you as being ones that you enjoyed?
So we haven't been able to get to the movies as much as we usually could. Obviously, with a newborn, it's been almost nigh impossible because we can't take her to the movies yet. And, you know, we're kind of stuck waiting for everything to come out on VOD. And even then we're like, okay, half an hour, she's asleep. Okay, everyone get in bed. But we have been able to watch, especially in the last like month or so, we were able to catch up on some of the newer movies that have come out. So I think, what's that new horror movie? Weapons. Yeah, that was.
Oh, nice.
And Sinners we saw.
Yeah. Oh, well, Sinners. And I don't even know. Is Sinners like technically a horror movie? It's kind of more of an action.
It's
like,
a genre film. Like that's
yeah, it's kind of a lot of things mixed into one. But yeah, those are 2 really great ones from this year. So.
And this is definitely not a horror, but I got to throw out that we really enjoyed Warfare as well.
Oh yeah, Warfare was fantastic.
It was horrific. It was
A24.
very realistic. That was amazing.
I just say that movie so impressed me with, because I had done one short film like with a war aesthetic, and so I'm always also watching it, and I try to get out of my own head and just enjoy the films, but it's really hard. But that film so convincingly, and again, like I said, I'm a cinephile. I've like watched almost every war movie there is, but that was a totally new perspective. The closeness with the actors, the kind of close proximity within that house, the sound design in that film was something that I was just absolutely blown away by. I guess pun intended in this case.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But like that
He's a
end,
dad
like
now. He's a dad now.
in the mid part of that movie where they're dragging in one of the soldiers and they're trying to administer pain, the one guy steps on him and it's just like total chaos. It was like, this is, man,
Very
like,
realistic.
so this is what happens when, you know, the entire production team is firing on all cylinders on these big budget movies. Like, I could do with a lot more of that. That was fantastic.
Yeah, Alex Garland, for some reason, that guy's got a knack for any military, like Civil War was really good. But I think he's a fantastic director. But yeah, Warfare was pretty intense, but in a great way. If you're a cinephile, it's really good filmmaking.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of kind of the closer scenes in Black Hawk Down, which, you know, obviously pretty old film, but one of my absolute favorites. And Ridley Scott, that's like Ridley Scott firing on all cylinders for that film. And this was like kind of watching a new version of that, just brought in closer with obviously the new camera technology, everything's smaller. You can get those intimate spaces without doing it on a soundstage. And it was just like, it was just awesome. It was an awesome watch. But yeah, I mean, the other movies, like she said, Sinners and Weapons, both great in different ways. Sinners, I would have said, would have loved to see some more like kind of Blade-esque like fighting in that one. I was a little bit like, I thought we'd have some more like period piece weaponry, not just the end battle scene, which was great. So, but that's just expectations kind of changing. And Weapons, I think I'd heard a couple of the reviews. We try to stay away from them. That was a fantastically shot film, brilliant. The horror elements, I thought I was going into like a super high-end horror, like gonna, you know, have trouble going to bed at night. And I felt like it was a little bit more of a Grimm's kind of fairy tale vibe.
Yeah.
It was like a cautionary tale, which, you know, obviously great and just subverts a little bit of expectations, which isn't bad either. So, but yeah, those three would definitely be the top.
We still need to see Together.
Yeah, that's on my list as well. I've had friends reach out that I was supposed to go see it with, and same as you guys, it's tough when you have a kid. You can't. I literally have a really nice theater like right next to my neighborhood, but I only make it out, you know, late at night if I can. So
drive
I try
it longingly.
Yeah, I tried to sneak out and go see Together when it first came out because my buddy got some passes and he texted me after and he's like, dude, this movie is like, I've never seen a movie like this before. Yeah, he said it's just very unique. I mean, obviously the body horror is like really big right now with what was the big one? Yeah, Substance that came out last year.
And that was a great one too.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, like body horror for some reason is making like a huge comeback, which I'm happy with because I'm all for visual effects when they're, you know, handmade rather than computer generated. So,
well, and that kind of falls in line with the whole Terrifier series, which has been on an absolute tear. And those things are just, we used a lot of blood in ZombieCon. I can't imagine how much blood they had to have on hand for those movies.
I love talking to like, you know, people who they do like horror movies. Like I meet people at horror cons and they've had a few of the Terrifier cast here in OKC the last few years, and Texas Frightmare in Dallas. And I've met a few, including David Howard Thornton, and he's like one of the nicest human beings ever. And you can't imagine that he plays Art the Clown. But yeah, just talking to like people who've been in the movies, they're like, it's just such a crazy phenomenon. And I think even if you don't, I tell people that kind of don't get it, they're not really into like the super graphic torture porn or whatever. I tell them, I'm like, I just appreciate Terrifier because it's, you know, made on low budgets, but they're getting bigger and bigger. And it's just like become this, I mean, they have a thing at Universal Halloween Horror Nights now, and it's like all done independently. So I'm all for whatever gets people in the theaters watching movies, kind of like what you guys were trying to do, I'm assuming. So I'm I'm all for the Terrifier franchise for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
right
really,
there with you.
really, really impressive what they were able to do. And yeah, I was gonna say, I'm happy you brought up Halloween Horror Nights. We're in Florida right now, and my brother works at Universal, so does his
Oh,
girlfriend. So
nice.
we were just talking about like how big of a thing Halloween Horror Nights has become, and I was watching some of the videos, and yeah, I saw Art the Clown walking around. And I was like, that is, I feel like you've made it, like not
Yeah.
just made it, like not just made. I'm sure they've made a ton of money and stuff like that, and that's great, but I feel
No,
like every
it's yeah.
filmmaker wants their characters, like, I see Scream behind you, I see It, I see Halloween behind you. Like, everyone wants to hit the zeitgeist and wants their
Yeah.
characters to be remembered and to be a part of culture and for people to enjoy them and get a chance to make more. I feel like
That's
that's
the
that's
dream.
the ultimate dream of,
Oh, yeah.
anyone who makes content and
I can't
movies.
tell you how many times I've like just wished and wanted and tried to visualize how cool it would be in the future to be at any convention and to see some cosplayers going around as the Rockets.
Oh my
Fifth
Oh,
God,
that
that'd be
would be
amazing.
iteration,
amazing.
like the blood-soaked Rockets, the Rockets, and Xander Rules like facing off. If you had two groups of cosplay teams who actually did, one, it would be amazing. Or our final
yeah.
outfits, like that would just make my life. Someone asked us the other night when we were in an interview, "What's on your bucket list?" And I should
Yeah.
have said that because that is
Oh, that's good. I want Funko Pops of the Rockets.
you should have
That'd
worn
be
your
amazing.
shirt.
I should have
He
worn
was
the
gonna
shirt.
wear a shirt where he's got the 4 Rockets in Funko style.
In Funko
And we
style?
just
Nice.
got our merch up on our website day. We'll
Yeah.
send you a T-shirt, but it's the
Aw.
Rockets in Funko
Oh yeah,
with our little names and
absolutely.
everything underneath.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
amazing. Yeah, I definitely want to get y'all's address too, if you don't mind. We'll send you some stuff too, just for
Cool.
as a thank you for being on the podcast. It's
Yeah.
such
We'll
a
trade.
pleasure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say is the, like, kind of thinking about, like, we did a Icons of Horror podcast last year for Halloween, and it was actually for Terrifier 3, and we talked about the big guys, Michael and Jason and Freddy. But when you think about ZombieCon, you think about that zombie influence. What would you say is your biggest influence to the way you saw zombies in your film?
I mean, I'm like, look, it's a very difficult question because I would automatically go back to like the Romero series, but those are much slower zombies. But that's like kind of what I grew up on. And I was a kind of a teenager, I think, when 28 Days Later came out. And then it was like my first like experience with like a fast zombie. So I was trying to nitpick little elements from each of them and create something new while still kind of paying homage to the greats that like kind of paved the way. So I feel like you could find a little piece of each of them in the zombies, but in terms of, tenacity, I say it definitely leans harder into like the 28 days franchise or 28 franchise, whatever days, months, years,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah,
we're in.
yeah.
But yeah, I'd say that tenacity wise, it definitely falls a little bit harder into that camp, or like a World War Z type of zombie,
Love that.
again, we were working with a small budget. So I think the slow movers, they're fantastic when you've got a giant budget, because it's horrifying when you see,
Horde.
1,000 zombies that are just, it's like this unstopping mass of zombies. And there's, no matter how hard you fight back or how hard you run, there are so many, you're going to be overwhelmed. And it kind of builds that terror and suspense because it's like this slow moving, wall.
Mhm.
Without that budget, we kind of had to up the punch for each zombie. So they almost, by that respect, had to be the more active, strong,
Yeah.
kind of super powerful zombie. Uh,
Yeah.
So I don't know if we had an infinite budget, how they would have gone. I think you would have seen a little bit of both. Kind of like in the 28 years later, we were talking about. I actually got a chance to see that. I went back home to work on a movie. She was here, so I actually got to see that in its entirety, which was like the first movie I saw this year in its entirety. The first half of that film was like one of my favorite pieces of zombie content. And I loved how they had the different evolutionary kind of standards of the zombies, because that's what I always saw zombies as. You've got them kind of evolving within the environment, depending on how much they've eaten, how little they've eaten, kind of different strengths that regular humans have. So I love like the alpha zombie, your kind of regular walker, screecher zombie. You had like kind of the fat, crawler zombie. So I'm like a nice broad spectrum of zombie. again,
Yeah.
the 28 franchise probably be the biggest, influence out of all of them.
And
Yeah, for
I
sure.
actually was in I feel like I'm missing one, so forgive me if anyone's looking at my IMDb, but I know I was in at least 2 different zombie films, and so before this one smaller indie darling called Dance of the Dead, which has its own cult group following and is amazing, and then Quarantine 2 Terminal, and one of
Yes.
those, I was a zombie in the end, one of those, I survived. So I kind of like I come at a zombie movie from a production standpoint, like, it is what you make of it. Like, there are certain tropes, there are stereotypes, but at the end of the day, there are no rules. Like, you're making your own universe of zombies here. And so I think Kyle would say this probably too. Like, we definitely didn't want to try and copy anyone's zombies and wanted to do our own twist on them. But ultimately, it was whatever would work best for our story and would look best on the screen with the kind of money, resources, and with what we were able to bring to it. So,
Yeah, and it's definitely got a little bit of anime zombie in there.
mm,
So like a High School of the Dead, which I'm like a
yeah.
huge fan of. Because we definitely obviously have a lot of anime influences in the film, and I was trying to merge kind of live action American cinema with Japanese anime because I'm a lifelong anime fan, and I just always felt like they complement each other so nicely, and they kind of have this nice reciprocity. You'll have Blade influences Akira, and then Japan will
Mm.
come out with something that influences something in the States, and it's back and forth and back and forth. And I was trying to kind of capture both things, and with our little budget, like force them together. It would again,
Yeah.
I think it would have
Well,
been
I
more
think
apparent with a bigger budget, but
Well, I did see it. I mean, even to the final the final like suits. You have new suits, and they're all like it's very. I felt the influence there, and I think especially the end with the final kind of transformation was I was just like, this is the best ending, because you're kind of thinking something like that might happen down the road, and then to have it pay off at the end, I thought that was amazing.
that was my Super Saiyan moment for my
Yeah,
character.
exactly.
Yeah,
What
I love the
what,
anime tie-ins because, like, a lot of my YouTube and like I have a lot of Instagram groups that we chat every day. Whether we have YouTube channels or we just collect Funko and we show off all of our stuff. And a lot of them don't really watch horror at all. So like they always hit me up when there's like something cool horror because they're like they know I love it. So I like anime, but I haven't seen enough to like know my stuff. So it was cool when you guys messaged me that you have this movie because I was able to pitch that to my friends who like worship anime. And I was like, no, this movie, I'm telling you, like it's not it is a horror movie, but it doesn't have that horror feel like you guys think that I watch all the time. So I'm like, I'm really excited for you guys. Like, I think you should check it out because I think like it has the best of both worlds and in it. So that was really cool that you guys went that route. So
Well, thank you
absolutely.
both so much, truly.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
it never ever for a second gets like dull, the experience of hearing someone experiencing the film that we lived through, that we crafted, that is kind of like our first baby in a different way, watching it grow and
Hmm.
change into what we kind of always hoped it would be. And getting to hear each person's perspective of their journey and what they felt while watching it, what they noticed. It's like a kid on Christmas Day. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
That's
It's
awesome.
definitely a pinch me moment, that's for sure.
well,
Yeah.
and you have like so many cool shots, like the shot of you, Aaron, when you're soaked in blood in the apartment and you have the sword. It has that total like Tarantino vibe, like you were talking
Hmm.
about earlier. And that, like, I know that's what you guys were probably feeling. So like, I could feel that just as a cinephile as well. So I love that. That scene was just shot. I mean, just a picture of you, it would be like an awesome, 8x10 for you to sign or whatever. So
Thank you
Yeah.
so
pretty cool. Yeah.
I've heard a couple different comparisons, like people have said like Scream Queens or this and that and the other.
Yeah.
For me, at least when I was feeling that moment, like Claire aside, as an actor, when I was imagining it, and then when I saw the footage, I was like, this is my Thurman. Like, yes, this
Yeah.
is
Yes.
It
my
was
Kill
awesome.
Bill.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that caught my attention right away because I was like, because I love Tarantino, so like, obviously Kill Bill, and they're gonna do I don't know if they're just doing it
Whole
in
bloody
L.A.
affair.
or
Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna do like the whole both of the movies together
And
as a
the
showing.
animated sequence at the end too.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
That's
so
so
I mean, not like that was really cool because like I think Tarantino is obviously one of the best out there. So like that scene in particular always stands out when I was watching it the few times I've seen it. So
That's awesome.
thank you.
That's all our honor.
no, it's real. I like
Yeah,
I
it's
got
legit.
what you guys were going for. So like I appreciate you guys, doing that because I know other people who worship film will probably feel the same way. So
That's awesome. Thank you
yeah,
very much.
absolutely.
So what is next? You got volume 2 already kind of in your head? Do you have another film you're working on? What's next for you guys?
A little bit of both because Kyle is insane with story building creation and he writes insanely fast. So he's already written ZombieCon 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've edited
Eh.
them. And then he has the rest all the way up until I think ZombieCon 10 beat it out. So we're ready to go. And we're before ZombieCon 1 was volume 1 was released, it was kind of hopeful. But now with the reception and things in motion, we're actually pretty hopeful that by next year we'll be in pre-production on volume 2. So
Awesome.
Nice.
fingers
That's
crossed
amazing.
things keep going the way they're going, but that's the plan.
And then earlier this year, when we had first moved across the country, before our daughter was born, I was like, okay, we've got a very tiny window to make, a film real quick. And like, I'll handle the post production, but I need you for production. And so we did film a movie really quickly. And we're in post production on that. And that's going to be done. It's called It's Watching. It's about, this really stressed my creative muscles. It's about a frustrated filmmaker who moves from Los Angeles to Atlanta with his pregnant wife and, takes one final stab at making a movie before he gives up.
That's
And
amazing.
it's kind of a straight horror, like, there's an entity in the house that's kind of stalking him type vibe. So
It's also got a lot of comedy because frustrated filmmaker, and it's a frustrated filmmaker making the film. Like, yeah, you're gonna
Right.
get a lot of jokes in there. But yeah, it was fun. It was also creative exercise. Like Kyle said, we knew we had a little window. We wanted to devote as little resources as we could money wise as well. So the creative exercise in writing it was location, okay, this house, what equipment we already have, what props we already have. So it was like literally stripped down to the bare bones of everything, and it was basically a one-man show of acting. Myself and Mama Bear from Zombie Convo 1, Nicole McCauley, she's
Nice.
also in the film, and then, the sound guy from ZombieCon, Mr. Tolson, Chad Tolson,
yeah, a good friend of mine. He's awesome.
he came down, and he was the only other crew member doing the sound again and then played the role of a pizza guy, and that's it.
Nice.
That
So
sounds
it was like
amazing.
ZombieCon, but shrunk down to
Yeah.
like the tiniest form. But we're hoping that we'll be on the festival circuit either later this year or next year. So if y'all are at all interested, we'd be honored to send you a screener and get to talk
Yeah.
about it with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be
Awesome.
awesome. Yeah, we actually in January I'm bringing Papa Gus on as kind of like a full-time co-host. So we're gonna be, rocking and rolling together on all this stuff. And we talk all different types of movies, but we both love horror. And so anytime there's a new horror thing to talk about, we'll jump at the chance, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, we've told this story on the podcast a bunch of times, but it's kind of kismet in a way for our friendship. We were at Texas Frightmare Weekend he lives near Dallas and I live in OKC, so I'm about 3 hours away. And we both happened to be waiting for a Scream showing with a Q&A with Matt Lillard, David Arquette, and Ski Ulrich at the Alamo Draft House. And we were just killing time. And him and his son Jacob and I was waiting there at the bar, and we were waiting for the showing. And we literally just started talking. And he's like, "I have a podcast, blah blah blah." This was like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And he invited me on for a Scream episode. And then we did like 6 more episodes.
Yeah.
And then we just collaborate. And then, it's been nothing but the best. But like, I just wanted to throw that in there because you guys probably didn't know that. So it's really cool. I owe a lot to Sprang because he's like opened up my world, because I love talking about movies, and his podcast is like everything that I would like to do. So when he was saying he set up this interview with you guys, I was like, oh, that's awesome. It's perfect.
And
So,
likewise, bringing it back to Sprang and being grateful when we were messaging and you were like, oh, fantastic. I know about your film. My friends have reviewed it. I'm super down. I'd love to have you in the show. My buddy Papa Goss, he interviewed. I'm like, Papa Goss, yes. The indie film review community, horror film review community, all of the above have been just so amazing to interact with. Like, you guys have got the kind of kinsmanship and support network that honestly any group of people would die to have, like indie filmmakers or
Yeah.
just anyone. It's been amazing to experience.
I need to hit up. So there's a guy who runs a horror con here and in Tulsa, and he's from kind of a California guy, and he knows a lot of famous people and stuff. But I need to hit him up and see. Well, I don't know. We could try to get you guys out for one of our, because our cons here are starting to grow. They're really fun, but I think you guys would fit in really well at the smaller, like OKC Horror or Tulsa Horror Con. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I'll definitely promote you regardless. So
Well,
That would be awesome.
a blast.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
You never need to twist my arm to get me to go to a con. Pretty easy.
Yeah. It's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the podcast and talking with us and hanging out for this hour. I mean, it's just been so great. You guys are so awesome. So thankful for your success and just continue to wish you even more success. We'll definitely be posting all your links and everything throughout the week that we post this episode. And we're just going to be trying to pump you guys up. I know you guys got the DVD coming out, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of announce that you're going to be on the podcast so I can go ahead and get promotional info out there for you guys on that starting this weekend. So thank you guys so much again. This has been awesome.
Thank you guys both so much. This has been truly a pleasure. And I mean, what better way to spend an evening than talking movies? This is like, this is just fantastic. So thank you guys so much for having us. And
thank you, Sprang. Thank you, Papa Goss. This has been
yeah,
so
we'll
much
have to
fun.
have you on for the next one as well.
Please,
we would love
we
that.
would love that.
Absolutely.
That'd be amazing.
I'm hoping that she grows up a little bit. Hopefully we'll be able to watch a few more movies.
Yeah, for sure.
She's waking up like, okay, so the interview's done. So like now it's time for me to get second wind and we can
now you get my attention. That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Thank
Hope you guys have a great rest of your night.
having us.
You too. Thank you guys
Absolutely.
so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Again, you can check out all of our links at bio.site/moviesthatmakeyou. Feel free to drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. So until next time, keep watching movies.